Hey, it's 2022, and tech has come a long way from where it was about 20 years ago. So, right now, you're watching this video on a mobile phone or laptop or any other device. But have you ever wondered what makes this possible on that device? One of the key components can be the operating system. So, basically, an operating system is something that helps you interact with the device hardware. It gives you a graphical user interface so that you can interact with the hardware and do various tasks on that. One of which could be watching this video right now. So there are different kinds of operating system that can be for desktops and mobile devices. For desktops, there is Windows, Mac OS, Linux, and many others. For mobiles, it is Android, iOS, and many others. So today we'll be looking at one of the most popular operating systems on the planet, that is Windows operating system. Basically, Windows was released in 1985 and it is still being updated every few years, and new versions are coming up of this Windows. So recently in the year 2022 they launched Windows 11, which is their latest version of Windows. So in this video, we'll be looking at the journey of Windows right from the first version till the latest version and where it is today. So do you know why Apple stores are so dark? That's because they don't have Windows. So that's exactly why we need to understand and learn about the journey of Windows. Well, we all had ups and downs in our life, but also, so like us, did Windows have its ups and downs. Just like in the year 1985, they launched their very first operating system, that was Windows 1.0. So what is Windows 1.0? It was basically just a graphical shell that used to run on MS-DOS. It was not exactly an operating system, but it was a graphical shell. So later in the year 1987, they launched Windows 2.0. Windows 2.0 was a much big step from Windows 1.0, where they released a version of Windows which could overlap windows over each other. So, and also it supported 256 colors on the screen. Also, it was the very first time when MS Word and MS Excel was introduced to Windows. In the following year, Windows 2.1 was released. What was special with this? It was for the very first time where Windows had introduced hard drives for an operating system. Previously, it was only floppy disks that was used. This was the first time when they used hard drives. Then in 1990, they released Windows 3.1. Windows 3.1 was a bit more polished than Windows 2.0. It was the first time when icons were introduced to an operating system. Back in the days, an operating system usually used to be a command line interface with just black screen and white lettering on top. So it was the first time when icons were introduced to an operating system. Also, CD-ROM and sound playback was introduced in an operating system. That was very new at the moment, and it gained popularity very quickly. Also, in that year, Windows 3.0 introduced Minesweeper game. The Minesweeper game, as we all know, back in the days was very popular. This made people think that computers were some kind of a gaming platform. That is when the gaming era started to flourish. Windows 3.1 was introduced in the year 1992. It featured something called as a drag and drop icons. It also introduced something called as TrueType fonts. What was this purpose? TrueType fonts was something that made possible for what you saw on your screen to be printed on a hard copy or a paper. Windows 3.1 was part of the NT family. The NT stands for New Technology. Even then, back in the days when Windows 1.0, 2.0 were released, it was based on MS-DOS. But Windows 3.1 was based on NT. NT was something that it was running on a separate kernel all by itself, and it was not running on MS-DOS. Today's version of Windows also that we see, the latest ones, are running still on the same NT legacy. Following which, MS-DOS was completely discarded and NT was continued. Windows 95 was released in the year 1995. What made Windows 95 was so popular was that it featured something called as the start button, a taskbar, and also support for USB devices. This was not possible in the previous Windows. It was a very basic Windows version of Windows, but 95 changed the world. This was the first time where today's Microsoft Edge was introduced in Windows. So Microsoft Edge gave people the ability to browse the internet, and that's where the internet started to flourish more and more. There were very few operating systems in the market, but Windows 95 was at the top. Windows 98 was followed later after 95 in the year 1998. The only difference in this was it was even more enhanced for internet activities like browsing the internet and any other stuff related to the internet. It was much more better. But the only problem was it was unstable and buggy. That is why Windows 98 was again not preferred by the users, but instead Windows 2000 was later in the year 2000 adapted by the users when it was launched by Microsoft. Windows 2000 was also called as Windows ME, which stands for Millennium Edition. I wonder if there's another Windows U version of that in another universe. It was the first time when Windows had introduced System Restore feature in an operating system. System Restore, as we all know, is very useful in our current days, and back in the days it was a very big step up for an operating system. But the operating system was very buggy, and hence people used to think of Windows ME as not Millennium Edition but somewhat called as Mistake Edition. So in the year 2001 we got Windows XP, the legendary Windows XP. As we all know, back in the days, everyone has almost used Windows XP. The legendary green background, the desktop background, everyone remembers that. That was one of the biggest and most successful launches of Microsoft. Windows XP's features were that it was very stable, very simple, and very fast, which caught the eyes of the public and was used on a massive scale. Even big organizations started using it on a large scale. It was the first time when Windows had got the feature of product activation, where it eliminated the problem of piracy and copying of the OS. Later in the year 2007, Windows Vista was released. Windows Vista was a very simple, it had a glass-like look to its operating system. So it was different from the previous OSs, it looked a little more modern, but the only issue of that was it was very unstable and users did not like that, and Windows Vista got a very bad review from the public. That is why they started hating Microsoft for that release. Later in the year 2007, Windows 7 was released. So Windows 7 was almost the same as Windows Vista, but it was a way better version of Windows Vista. It came many years later after Windows Vista was released, but then till that time the PC market had been upgraded so well that the OS was stable enough to work on any device. In the year 2012, Windows 8 was released. Windows 8 was a good OS. It was stable. It was fast in its performance, but it was made for thinking of a tablet in mind. But Microsoft tried to use it for an operating system. Again, they failed over there. It was not a great OS. The start button in that was actually not even there on the desktop. It was a start menu, like an entire screen. It was not a button. Later in the year 2013, they introduced Windows 8.1, which solved some of the issues and made it a much better OS to be used by users. They liked Windows 8.1 more than the Windows 8.0. About 3 years later, in the year 2015, we got the legendary Windows 10. The Windows 10 which majority of the people on planet Earth are using right now. Windows 10 was a very successful launch for Microsoft and it captured almost 90% of the market by that launch. Windows 10 was stable, more efficient, more simple, and it was much more reliable for third-party apps and programs. So following Windows 10 came Windows 11 in the year 2022. Windows 11 was one of the best OSs that are available on the market, and it features a very simple, clean, and very fast UI. Windows 11 also comes with a lot of performance tweaks, not to mention the center taskbar, which everyone loved. Also, the rounded corners on the windows, and not to forget the snap windows to screen feature. Phew, that was a lot of Windows do recently. So let's wrap up this video. I hope you got information about how the journey of Windows was from 1985 to 2022. Let's hope there are more better versions of Windows coming up. Till then, peace.